this is hard to make me angry, but don't touch my hair, don't touch my voice. We must put these people in jail. Oh, it's a shit show. Hello everyone, my name is Dasha, and I'm really sorry to start this week with a sad video, but some of you suggested me to watch The Dark Side of One Direction from the Hey Angel, and I don't think that I'm emotionally prepared for this video. And whatever is going to be in this video, I wanted to say. You know that I'm a really sensitive person, and some of you may be also a really sensitive person, so be careful with this.
Is anybody ready for this?
No.
Oh my God's sake, Daria!
I'm not.
Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or if this is your first time watching me, hello, my name is Jasmine. This is my channel, Hey Angel, where I make One Direction videos, updates, reactions, entertainment videos, anything related to the 1D boys, it's all here. But I also have a main channel called Jasmine's 8 if you want to go check out my vlogs and other stuff, it's always linked in the description.
Okay.
So the video that I'm going to be filming today is a video that has been highly requested by a lot of you for months and months and months.
Wow.
Ever since I uploaded a Q&A a few months ago where I talked about how the boys were treated by their management, a lot of people have been commenting asking me to make a full-length video talking about the mistreatment and the truth about what happened while those boys were in One Direction. I held off on filming this video for a really long time because I was scared to. I was afraid that I was going to get things wrong, or I was also scared that I would make the video and it wouldn't be good enough or something along those lines. But recently I've been doing a lot of thinking and I decided that I do want to do it. So I spent lots and lots of time gathering up enough research and information that I could to put together this video for you guys. I think the main reason I do want to film this video is to get across that yes, One Direction seemed to be a boy band that had it all, but there was a lot going on behind the scenes that a lot of people aren't even aware of. And it is something that needs to be brought to light and that people should know about them because they went through a lot. The point of this video isn't to completely just like trash One Direction as a band and drag them through the mud and make it seem like everything was so miserable. There's a lot of horrible toxic things that happened in that band, but they all also have talked about the good side of it too. So don't watch this video and think that One Direction was just completely 100% awful. The toxicity was a part of it, but yes, they also had good times too. I'm just bringing awareness to the dark side of it, hence the title of this video. Okay. Another little disclaimer I want to make is that this video has nothing to do with Larry Stylinson. I know there's a lot of things that happen in One Direction that people relate to Larry, and a lot of people don't like their management because of Larry and things they've done to Larry and stuff like that, which yes, that's a valid point to make, but I'm trying to make this video about One Direction, not about Larry. All of my sources and places that I got quotes and information from will be linked in the description if you want to go and check them out for yourselves. If you want to read these articles and see where these quotes and such came from, I will definitely have my sources linked down below so you guys can go check them out for yourselves. So with all of that being said, we can get started with this monster of a video. Here we have the dark side of One Direction. I'm going to try to make this video at least somewhat organized and break everything that I want to talk about down into sections and then subsections so that we can kind of explore everything together without getting confused and all jumbled up. So the first thing I want to talk about when it comes to things that were wrong with One Direction is how heavily branded and marketed they were by their management and their team and Simon Cowell. One Direction was branded and marketed a very specific way in many different aspects to appeal to a young audience of teenage girls. Basically what I mean is how they looked and how they were perceived was completely decided by their management and their team and everyone in charge in order to make them likable and appeal to a certain specific audience. Like I said, in this case, it was teenage girls. I filmed a video before when I was talking about unpopular One Direction opinions, and in that video I mentioned that One Direction was not a band, they were a brand. And that is my favorite saying to use whenever I'm talking about One Direction and their mistreatment, is the whole brand not band thing, because they were so heavily branded that it really took a toll on them, and you'll see what I mean when I get into these subsections in a second. But there's just such a distinction between the band and the brand. Like, who are they really and who are they being made to be so that they can sell records. It's not uncommon for celebrities and artists to be branded a specific way in the music industry to make them seem more appealing to a target audience. I'm gonna use Kesha as an example. When Kesha was first put into the spotlight, she was told by her management to behave like this crazy party girl who just wanted to get drunk and have sex in order to sell her music. But Later, when she was not with her record label anymore, she revealed that that was not her at all. And she made music that was more authentic to who she is. And now you see that she's a completely different person because she's being herself. She has said before that that persona was just completely not her. It was something that was made and created for her. So it wasn't like she was being herself. It was this brand that she was given. And it's the exact same way for the boys of One Direction. First and foremost, I think the lightest part about being branded is the fact that they were being told how to dress constantly. I think this is most prominent in the Up All Night era, obviously, because Harry was famous for wearing like blazers, and then Liam would wear like the plaid, and Zayn would have the varsity jackets, Niall would have like the polo, and then Louis obviously had stripes. This was their style. They had very specific set styles in this time, not even just on stage, but if you look at any of their photo shoots, live performances, they were all styled and dressed according to their particular like brand or set style that they had. That isn't something to really blink too much at. It's not really that big of a deal that they were being told how to dress, because I mean, they were really young at the time and they were new to the spotlight. So of course they had to have some kind of guidance, some kind of style. They couldn't just go out there wearing whatever they want and look ununiform, really. So I guess it does make sense that they were dressing a certain way, but I just decided to mention it because it goes along with what I'm going to be talking about how they were separated and branded a certain way as individual people. There's an article that I'm going to have linked down below where Liam talks all about how they were made to dress a specific way and how he couldn't even wear stripes. Like, he was not allowed to wear stripes because it was Louis' thing. That's when I start having a problem. Like, you see these boys and it's like, okay, they're being told how to dress when they're on stage, when they're doing a photo shoot, whatever. But it got to a point where they were just not allowed to dress a certain way anywhere. Like, out in public, in pictures, or anything, because that was the other boy's brand. Like, Liam talked about how he could not be seen wearing stripes because that was Louis' brand and Louis' thing and it belonged to him. Another thing that goes along with being branded a specific way, or just having, not really being branded a specific way, I'll get more into the branding stuff in a minute, but right now I'm just talking about appearance restrictions. They were told throughout their whole career how they had to have their hair. They could not like pick. Harry opened up in an interview quite recently, like a few months ago, he opened up in an interview about how he was made to wear those like tight curls that he used to have in his hair back in like 2010, 2011, 2012-ish. He had his hair curly like that because his team made him have his hair curly like that, even though he didn't like it. He said in this interview that he didn't even like having his hair super curly like that. I did tons and tons of digging on this interview and I could not find it, so I deeply apologize for that. I really tried to find it, but I promise you what happened. I sat there and listened to the interview myself. If you know what I'm talking about and you find a link, please comment down below with the link and let me know, because I dug everywhere and I could not find this interview where Harry was talking about his hair. But he did do an interview recently where he talked about not being able to have his hair uncurly. Zayn also opened up about appearance restrictions when they were in One Direction. He talked about how he wasn't allowed to pick his own hair color. The Zayn we know now has had many different hair colors, but back in One Direction he didn't, because they wouldn't let him. He wanted to dye his hair and he couldn't because they wouldn't let him. The only thing they let him do was have the blonde stripe in his hair. That was fine. But other than that, they wouldn't let him have his own hair color, and they even wouldn't let him grow a beard in the beginning. Zayn did not want to be clean shaven. He wanted to have his face like with a beard on it, or like with stubble on it, and his management would not let him.
Actually, I don't
straight
like
up
beards,
told him that that goes against their image and that they don't want to look older. They want to keep them how they look now, and he wasn't allowed to grow facial hair. Zayn said, and I quote, "It was mainly my beard, honestly. I wasn't allowed to keep it," he said. "Eventually, when I got older, I rebelled against it and decided to keep it anyway. That was just because I looked older than the rest of them. That's one of the things that is now quite cool. I get to keep my beard. I also wanted to dye my own hair when I was in the band, but I wasn't allowed to." That's a direct quote from Zayn himself about how his management would not let him dye his hair and would not let him grow a beard. So those are just some of the appearance restrictions that the boys had. There's plenty of interviews where they talked about how they were meant to have their hair a certain way, couldn't do certain things, had to dress very specifically, couldn't wear specific things. But it's not just about the appearance. The branding thing also applies to their personalities, roles in the band, how they behave, and how they're perceived. So basically, right from the start, when One Direction signed with Simon, they were assigned these roles or aesthetics or whatever you want to call it in the band. I think the most obvious one was them branding Harry as the flirt, womanizer. Even before the boys got out of the X Factor house, producers and Simon were already trying to brand him as the flirt. Like, there's segments on the X Factor where they make Harry, like, play a segment where he's like trying to go on a date with multiple girls.
I don't believe this.
And there's even more girls. Why have you not returned my text?
This gets better, doesn't it?
He's so confused.
Unbelievable! How many are there?
And everyone's like, oh, Harry's the flirty one. Like, he was branded that way before he was even out of the X Factor house, which blows my mind, and we'll get into more of that later. Like Harry and his womanizer image, that's a whole other thing that we need to talk about. But all the other boys had their roles too. Yeah. They branded Zayn as this like super dark and mysterious, cool kind of guy. And they branded Liam as like, you know, the daddy of the group, the sensible one, kind of holding the band together. They branded Louis as like this class clown, funny, boyfriend material type of person, which that was fitting for Louis at the time. But then as Louis grew up, his brand changed. All of them kept the same brand pretty much their whole like time in the band, except for Louis. He started off as like the funny like boyfriend material type of guy. You know, he was dating Eleanor, like this regular girl who went to college and all that stuff. So they branded him out to be like this average boy that you would meet in your hometown, which makes him relatable, which makes people want to like One Direction. That was the point of the brand. But then later, as Louis got older, they changed his brand completely, and that's a whole other thing I want to talk about too. But you get the point. All of them were branded a specific way with their outfits and their personalities and how they were seen to fans and to the public. Now, this may seem kind of harmless, but it ended up actually really interfering with their personal image and their lives, and ended up staying with them and being carried with them throughout the rest of their time in One Direction. And I'm going to give you some examples. This is what Zayn had to say about his brand in One Direction, like how he was branded and marketed. Quote, "I'm actually quite easy, a happy-go-lucky sort of guy," he says. "But there was a lot of situations that were almost created to make me be portrayed as the mysterious or quiet one. I guess that's just something that people buy into, and it helps them sell things. It's a product that's already designed and it sells." So Zayn said it himself that he was branded as someone that he's just not. He said it himself that he feels like his management was branding them specific ways to get things to sell, and that's exactly what they were doing. But it's just really sad to read this quote because Zayn said that he's like not the mysterious one. He wants to be happy-go-lucky just like the rest of them, but he couldn't. Another thing going along with that is Zayn being the quiet, mysterious one also caused a lot of trouble with like racism. Zayn was the only member of One Direction, obviously, who was a person of color. A lot of people agree that it's fucked up and that he shouldn't have been put through that. There's a whole article by The Fader where Zayn opens up about being the only one in a group of boys who's like a person of color, and you know, he's Muslim and stuff. He opened up about it and how hard it was for him at times with fans giving him a rough time and his branding and all of that. So if you want to check out the full interview, like I said, it will be in the description. It's definitely worth a read. I got a lot of information from Zayn from this just one interview, this one story. Had lots and lots of really useful information as to how he was treated when he was in One Direction. Then that brings me to what I was talking about earlier, how Harry's image is also harmful. We talked about how Zayn's image is harmful and how that's not even who he is. But for Harry, it's the same way. He was branded as this flirty womanizer that likes older women since he was 16. Like, he's still a kid. Like, he's 16. Not even 17. Not even 18. Like, 18 would still be pretty bad. But 16? So then by the time he was famous, he didn't have a chance to show the world who he really is. He didn't have a chance to be like, hi, I'm Harry Styles, this is who I am, and this is what I stand for, because his management decided it for him before he could even go out into the world and prove himself. They already decided for him. Nope, you're a flirty womanizer who wants to sleep with older women and wants to sleep around. It makes me so angry, so sick to think about that, because that ended up following Harry his entire life. Still to this day, people like to think that he is that way. It is something that has always followed him his entire career. He grew up in the spotlight with that label on him. Hundreds and thousands of people not even knowing him personally and just being like, oh yeah, the flirt, the womanizer, the one who sleeps around. Like, without even giving him a chance, because that's how his management wanted him to be branded for whatever reason, which eventually spread to like media. So then interviewers will sit down with him and think it's perfectly funny and normal to sit down and be like, oh, so how many women have you slept with? Are you looking for an older woman? Or making parody songs about him liking older women and all this. Like, they just think that that's their place to just do that because that's who he is. And it's really truly not. And there's been countless times when Harry has tried to defend himself, and he has said it over and over again, like, women are not objects, treat women with respect. And I'm not like that. And he's always tried to say that. He's such a gentleman, such a kind soul. But people just look right over that.
Like, surprised that he's really respectful.
Factor host Caroline Flack with an ever-growing list of women attached.
Famously dating models, actresses.
Ordered fling with 32-year-old.
Then she has a thing for cougar or two. Harry.
She's just a friend. Right.
I'm looking forward to seeing your girl, Cara, walking down the runway.
I know what you're doing.
You've dated probably more, am I right in saying more high profile?
I guess.
How's it feel to be a sex symbol loved by every girl? Sex symbol loved by every girl.
You're like what? You're the womanizer, right? You're the guy who likes the ladies. No, he's gone for his special massage.
I wasn't aware of it.
It was a special
It was the
massage.
back and shoulders. Just clarify.
The lady looked really happy.
Harry, there was a rumor that you had a crush as well. Is that true?
Me?
On who? Come on.
No. Really?
I mean, I have a lot of friends, and some of them are girls, and apparently I'm dating all of them.
He has to go through a lot of different things for being Mr. Harry Styles.
People write about Harry all the time in a negative way with all his love life and stuff. I think, you know, it'd be nice to get it out there that he's actually a pretty genuine dude.
I don't want to be toxic right now, but how can smart people see, I don't know, this image in Harry? Like,
Can you imagine
you
what
have
kind of
brain,
effect that must
if
have
you
on
have
him his
this,
entire
you will not
life?
think like that,
Like,
okay?
that's going to
I'm sorry,
grossly
but
affect how
it
he
is.
sees
It's
himself
true.
because the world perceives him in a way that's just the complete polar opposite of how he is. I could say it a million times and I still wouldn't be able to feel like I'm getting my point across, but that obviously affected Harry very greatly. Like I said, it still follows him to this day. Moving on, Liam, his branding was also somewhat harmful to him. Not as badly as Zayn and Harry's, but he did open up about how he didn't even like his branding, his label, because it greatly affected how he saw himself and how he felt like he had to behave even when he wasn't in the spotlight. I'm gonna read you a paragraph from an interview that Liam did talking about his role in the band. Management took advantage of this, he says, telling him his very specific role in the group was to keep the rest in line. I was like, that's great, innit? Because then everyone in the band thinks I'm a dick. He remembers one of the band's first hotel stays. We've got plates being thrown out the window, mattresses being ridden down the stairs, and I'm getting calls from the manager saying, you need to sort it out. It wasn't lost on the fans, where Malik and Styles were heartthrobs. Payne says he was classed as Mr. Boring. When you're at the stadium and you get the least amount of screens, it's like, for fuck's sake. Not only was Liam branded as like this daddy, like care manager type of person, like he was literally forced to be that way. Even when there was no cameras or videos or whatever, not on stage, they were in a hotel, the boys are acting up, and their management calls Liam and tells him to deal with it because he's the dad of the group now. Like, what? Why is that Liam's job? Why are you telling him to deal with it? Why are you making him be the sensible, boring dad type of person? I had no idea that it was like that until I even read this interview. I thought that like these labels that their management was pushing on them were just like on stage or whatever. But no, these were like things that followed them into their daily lives. Management made Liam be the dad of the group. I can't even imagine like becoming famous and then being told you have to be this specific way because how you are isn't good enough. Like you need to be this way to sell records. Like, unbelievable. So then that brings me to another little rant about Louis and how he was branded and how that affected him. Like I said, Louis's branding in the beginning of One Direction was pretty innocent. It was kind of fitting for how he behaved anyway. They saw his like class clown personality and decided to roll with that branding and made him into this like funny, like sassy, easy to relate to, I want to be your best friend type of person. But that stopped working for them. Obviously, because Louis is nothing like that now, which I've kind of talked about before. Part of that is definitely growing up. Obviously, Louis is almost 30. He's not going to be running around acting like a child anymore. But another part of that is his management. They changed his branding, I'd say well into like late 2013-ish, is when Louis's brand and how he was perceived by the media and the public was changed very drastically. They started making him out to be like this super aggressive type of person, getting in all these fights and being super sarcastic and not getting along with his fans and spinning stories in the media a certain way to make him look like just unbearable. He was more tamed, so to speak. And there's a theory that kind of goes around in our fandom that Simon had Louis like fly out to see him specifically to tell him to stop behaving the way that he was. Because it's no secret that Simon did this. Louis has opened up in the past about like getting put on a plane and flying out without the other boys to talk to Simon.
This is creepy.
Alone. Like Simon requested him to come alone. And then he came back. So a lot of people really think that he was flown out to talk to Simon so Simon could yell at him that he was behaving in a way that they didn't like and that he had to change. This branding that they forced onto Louis like later after he grew up a little bit ended up following him into his life now, kind of like I said with Harry. Like people still perceive Harry as like a womanizer flirt. People still perceive Louis as this super aggressive person who only cares about going out and partying and smoking and getting drunk. Literally how people see him. Like people just choose to ignore every other thing that he says about himself and just see him as this like super aggressive, homophobic, I don't give a fuck about anything type of person. Louis has said in interviews before that he's a romantic at heart, that he wears his heart on his sleeves, that he likes candles. He has fairy lights up all around his house. He likes flowers, literally daffodils. He likes to read books. And people just completely disregard that.
She knows
and they're like, oh, Louis, vodka, Red Bull, oi, oi, let's go party. Here's a pack of cigarettes. And I know that Louis gets like that sometimes. Like, that's perfectly fine. Like, that's his aesthetic as a person. But that doesn't mean you get to just completely ignore, like, the soft side of him, you know? It's so damaging and harsh to make Louis feel like he has to be super masculine and aggressive like that. He doesn't have to be like that. Exactly who he is perfect. Like, literally in Habit, when he says, took some time because I ran out of energy of playing someone I've heard I'm supposed to be, I use this lyric as an example a lot because it speaks volumes. Like, listen to him. He's literally screaming at the top of his lungs and y'all are not listening to him. He's tired of playing someone he's heard he's supposed to be. It's really obvious too as time goes on over the years, if you watch like Louis' behavior on camera, how much he changed. You could tell that he was being slowly media trained out of doing things that he used to. There is also often times where it's very clear that he's making jabs at his management or at Simon directly. Like, he's very like shady about it a lot, especially now. Like, Louis does a lot of things now and like in the past few years as a solo artist that kind of jab at Simon, especially when he was on the X Factor with Simon. Simon was trying to be like, oh, I'm so proud of Louis, like I'm glad that he's on the X Factor with me, like he was his little pet dog or something, and it makes me so uncomfortable because Louis is clearly very uncomfortable with Simon, clearly does not like him. It seems like he's being heavily influenced by him, kind of like Simon has had some kind of hold on Louis since he was 18. It's also fair to mention like the We Made It director's cut. There's a scene in there all about this like boss man who's very manipulative, grossly manipulative, and it's like obvious that he's some kind of like leader in the story, like in a position of power, and a lot of people compare this scene to Simon.
I decide what you do and when you do it. Understand? Good boy.
The hold that this man in the video has and the hold that Simon has, it's scarily similar. And I think it is very obvious what Louis was trying to allude to in this music video. In this part, at least. It didn't make the final cut, but he still released it. Basically, I'm just saying that it really ended up taking a toll on Louis being branded and perceived a very specific way. A lot of people now just disregard him as some homophobic, aggressive, I don't give a fuck about anything, smoker boy, and completely disregard like the relationship he has with his fans, all of the wonderful things that he does to support the LGBT community, and how well educated he is when it comes to politics and everything involved with that. And they ignore how loving and sweet he is and the things that he likes to do outside of being like aggressive, you know? It just sucks that people choose to not acknowledge that just because of how he was perceived in the media and stuff when he was in One Direction.
So what color can describe disgust? This one. Oh, this one. Yeah, wait a minute. Yes, it's not disgust. This is anger. I just cannot. I hate these people who did it to them. What's wrong with this management? Somehow, all these people who did bad things to them. I'm ready to fight right now. But I'm in a different country, okay? I'm not able to do that. I'm sorry for this. All of a sudden, anger, all these emotions. I'm really sorry because it was only the first issue, and I'm afraid what is going to be in the next ones. First, I want to say that fans, I always say I don't want to be toxic, and I'm not a toxic person actually, yeah. But you know, if you consider yourself as a fan, or as a stan or anyone who loves One Direction, who loves their music, who loves them as persons, you know, you are not allowed to think that Harry is a womanizer, Zayn is a mysterious guy, Louis is homophobic, and etc. You know, you're not allowed to do this. Get out of here. Get out of here if you think like that. I'm sorry, guys, but get out of here, like right now. You are not a fan anymore. I don't like consider myself as a fan of anything. Like my first, I think, fandom was Harry Potter fandom. But I didn't consider myself as a fan. I just don't like this because fans are also seen as some crazy people, like, oh, we love this, we hate anything but this, yes, especially One Direction fans, especially their fans, and it's always girls and nobody else. So guys cannot love them, non-binary people cannot love them, bachelors cannot love them, anybody cannot love them, but girls. This is only for girls, which I hate. Oof, this video took everything from me. Yeah, let's start this week with something like that, but I don't want to finish my video with something negative like that, even if it's like the dark side of One Direction. I just want to say this, that all this stuff, I'm sorry for these words right now, but this is such a bull. As Jasmine said, that yes, it's solved, like, yeah. And if you buy this is so disgusting. This is gross for me, and never think that Liam is boring. He is one of the funniest. All of them are funny. Zayn, I never thought that he's mysterious. Yes, he's shy, he's humble, all the stuff. Have you listened to his last interview? He is so bright. He used quarantine as time for work, and such a good work. Listen to his stunt to begin again. This is so wonderful, this is so motivational, and you cannot say, especially after this stunt, that he is mysterious or something like that. You have no right, just completely wrong. I'm sorry if you think like that. If you think like management made people to think like that. And this is really stupid for management to think that all of these images, yes, actually for some people, yes, it worked. And it still works for some people. I never seen Harry as a womanizer. I swear to God, he's my favorite One Direction member. But not because he's hot and he's a womanizer. Because he saved my life. So guys, I want to say that if you like this video, if you like my discussion, subscribe to my channel to get the next part, to see the next part, because I'm going to do this. But after this video, I will watch the bright side of One Direction, which is, I hope, is going to be really bright. And yeah, also I will watch this week 5 most memorable moments One Direction, and I'm really excited for it. Subscribe to this channel. This is Angel's channel, of course, you all know her. This is great that she did all this research regardless of this negative topic, you know. I just think that this is right. We not only should watch something like good about them, we also need to know all the sides of One Direction. And this is actually not about them, because the dark side of One Direction, it sounds more like it's dark side of them, but it's not about them. There are sunshines and nothing dark with them. Of course, they are not perfect, but that's what we like in them. So yeah, because they are like us, like really funny, talented, respectful, despite all the race, color of skin, orientation, whatever. That's why we love them. And you just cannot tell me that they all have labels. I'm against labels, guys. I'm against labels. And I'm pretty sure that they are all against labels. So yeah, I hope that you really like this video. I hope that I added some positive energy in the end, because I don't want you to be sad. I really don't want to start this week with this. I don't want to make your day negative. So yeah, remember my words. Go and listen to their music. Lately I've been listening to Girl Almighty, Stockholm Syndrome, Strong. Yeah. If you have something to say, leave a comment below, and I'm really sorry, guys. I need to do that. Just people with kindness, guys. So yeah, that's all. The next part is tomorrow. And yeah, see you next video. Bye, guys. I love you.